Hello, everyone. Give me just a second. I'm getting everything set up. I wanted to jump on here very quickly. Um, we do have a tornado warning for. All right, this tornado warning right here. I'm going to jump right in and I'll continue to go over this quickly. This is for Walker County in northwest Georgia and southwestern Dade County in northwest Georgia. Specifically, we're looking at this little area right here. So this is got a high probability of being a tornado on the ground in Georgia. It's currently, the last scan puts it around Bible Gulf Road. It's currently heading towards Highway 157, Cedar Grove area, and then we'll continue towards Lafayette. We also have a second tornado warning a little bit further south. Here, let me put these where I can mark both of these places where you can kind of see them. We're looking at this section right here, and we're looking at this section right here as well. This is the most apparent possible tornado. We have a new scan coming in, so that location will update very soon. This second one is more directly located around County Road 89 in Alabama, moving to the east towards County Road 106. It looks like the rotation, this little couplet right here is starting to weaken, but up here we have a pretty apparent set of rotation moving towards Highway 157. If you know anybody that lives near Highway 157 in Georgia, near Masseyville, Cedar Grove area, they need to take cover right now. Just to zoom out real quick and go over things, because I know everybody is worried due to these tornado warnings. In the state of Tennessee, we have no threats. We have nothing severe. Everything is looking nice and, a little stormy but calm. Down here, closer to Fort Oglethorpe, down towards Chickamauga area, I don't see any threats other than, some stronger wind gusts and some possible larger hail. We're looking at wind gusts around 60 miles per hour, but I want to come back down here and focus. It looks like we're kind of losing some of that formation. It's now right around Masseyville, Highway 157. This does not mean that the threat has disappeared. If you look over on this right screen, you can kind of see, some coloring on this side. Let me circle it again. So we're looking at this section right here showing some pretty significant rotation within the storm, indicating a high possibility of a tornado. Let me jump out of here. It's still stating that this possible tornado is radar indicated. It has not been detected on the ground yet, but it needs to be treated as, one has been spotted, because this is a very apparent signature of what looks like a tornado. Again, zooming back out, because I know I have, majority of my followers around the Hamilton County area. There are no active threats in Hamilton County, and I do not foresee any. It should be calm but rainy the rest of the night in the Hamilton County area. It is a little bit more stormy around Tiftonia Lookout Mountain. That is going to continue to move across, but it is kind of pushing further downward, and I do not see any severe threats popping up out of that section. All right, coming back down to Georgia, back to my primary focus around Masseyville. I know I'm kind of speaking fast and hitting this, but I'm wanting to make this point over and over repeatedly, so that way if somebody's just joining in, they understand. We do have a tornado warning, and it's due to a center of rotation. The last scan puts it just east of Masseyville, Georgia. Right around, if you're familiar with that area, the crag at Macklemore, that area. It's going to be heading in the direction of West Cove Road, and is probably at the speed of this storm's movement is already around West Cove Road. We do have just in an updated tornado warning, still stating radar indicated. This tornado warning says that there's a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Cooper Heights, 7 miles west of Lafayette, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So this storm is moving pretty quickly, and that is why this threat has popped up, that storm motion. I'm going to get rid of the dual pane here, and we're going to jump onto the correlation coefficient. You know, definitely seeing a possible indication of debris around Highway 157 in Georgia. Cedar Grove area is where this is currently active and is going to continue moving east towards, let's zoom back in. So it's going to be making its way towards Andrew Lane and Hog Jowl Road. We did have another tornado warning down lower. Let's go back to the dual pane and take a look. I do know that I'm still having a little bit of issue with the coloring. I haven't had a chance to hammer that out yet, and I apologize, but I'm going to continue to circle these areas. Right now, the section that we're seeing a little bit of a couplet of rotation is located within this circle. It is moving towards Georgia. Near the Cloudland area in Georgia. So if you were in the Cloudland area of Georgia, anywhere, I would say between let me zoom back out and kind of get a grasp here. I would say the Cloudland area of Georgia down to Menlo, and heading north of Somerville towards Tryon, Georgia. Be prepared. That tornado warning may be updated in that direction soon. Still seeing a nice little tight rotation there. And to go back north, still seeing some characteristics of rotation around Cedar Grove, Georgia, moving east towards Windward Forest area, Marsh Crossing, Valley Head. Okay, so Davis Crossroads, Valley Head with the newest information. It looks like it's starting to make its way northeast. It is going to be making its way from Davis Crossroads area towards Noble, Georgia. Anywhere from Rock Springs, Georgia, down to Lafayette, be prepared for this storm. Right now, I see it continuing on a northeast trajectory, but these can sometimes change motion. I am seeing a weakening of that tight rotation couplet, but we're seeing a little bit of jumbled information in here. I'm going to switch to base velocity. Not seeing a whole lot of off of the base velocity. That actually looks like it's a delayed image. Alright, so we're going to switch back to high-res storm relative. Okay, everyone, I know that I've had a lot of people pop in, so I do want to update that stormy section in downtown Chattanooga area does have a severe thunderstorm warning out on it. It's around downtown Chattanooga, East Ridge, Lookout Mountain area, heading to the east towards Brainerd, East Brainerd, Collegedale, and Tyner, anywhere. I would say even Highway 58 area, the south side of Harrison. This storm is now getting some gusty winds, around 60 miles per hour. I do not see any indication of rotation or tornado threat within this section. This was an unexpected threat down here in Georgia. This line is moving more rapidly than we originally anticipated, which is kind of giving it some energy to be able to come in and create that rotation. All right. Trying to get my little 2-year-old contained so hopefully y'all can hear better, because this is important. I want to make sure that you can hear everything well. I do see this rotation making its way between Lafayette and Rock Springs, weakening. There is still an active tornado warning. The tornado warning has not been updated, so that's a good thing. Typically, if these things are continuing to be a large threat, they will update locations, timing, and indication. So we do not have that currently going on, and I am seeing weakening within that band of rotation. However, I'm still watching right here. This is going to be, it's most definitely made its way south of Davis Crossroads area, the intersection of Highway 341 and 193, making its way towards Deerfield Road, and is most likely already passing over Cove Road. All right, so people just joining in, just going back over this. In Georgia, we have an active tornado warning out. This tornado warning was released a little while ago, so it is not located over Cooper Heights anymore. It has moved further east. This has been listed as a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Earlier, we did see some pretty strong indications of rotation within the storm, which leads me to believe that there was a possible tornado on the ground when it crossed around I-59 and the Tennessee-Georgia line. Let me click out here to get rid of those warnings that it's listing. We do kind of still see this little bit of a shape here, but it seems like the rotation is dying out. We are now getting a new radar scan. So some of these areas that just saw this heavy storm make its way in, especially around Highway 136, which is Lookout Mountain Scenic Highway, heading towards Rock Springs, we are now getting some pretty good indications of hail. It is located here. You know what? Let's get rid of the dual pane for a minute. Make this easier to see here. We've got an indication of 40 mile per hour, and we're moving in this direction. All right, so this hail will be making its way to Rock Springs in about 8 minutes, which will be 5:39 p.m. Beaumont, Georgia, in around 12 minutes now, which will be 5:43 p.m. So those areas will be impacted by this hail that is building up within the storm. The largest threat is that tornado warning. Let's go back to the dual pane so we can keep an eye on rotation. Seeing a little bit of a characteristic right here when you get these bows in. That's when you start looking for things like possible tornadoes and definitely strong storm conditions. So if you live in the Windward Forest area, the north end of Lafayette, Georgia, there is the possibility of a dangerous storm situation coming your way. I would take cover now. Get yourself to a safe place. A safe place is always in the lowest, most central part of your home, be it a closet, in a basement, under stairs, if you can safely get to a crawl space. You want to get yourself away from those edges of the walls, and if at all possible, keep yourself from windows too, because windows can cause hazards, not just with them, the forces of wind around them, but also if they break and you're having to make your way around those areas, the glass can get in your skin, your feet, and we don't want that to happen either. All right, so we're keeping a close eye on this storm. We do have a tornado warning for radar indicated rotating storm, and it expires in 12 minutes. All right, so hopefully we have things a little bit easier to hear again. We still do have a severe thunderstorm warning up here in Hamilton County. We are seeing some wind gusts around 60 miles per hour, and it's still staying around there. It expires in about 26 minutes. Right at 6 p.m. is how long they have that. And then down around Fort Oglethorpe and Chickamauga, heading towards Ringgold, we also have a similar threat of 60 mile per hour wind gusts and a little bit of hail. I am not seeing a lot of characteristic of hail, but from yesterday, as many of you know, we have some very saturated soil. So where you see these dark colors of red coming in towards Highway 153, around Shalford Road area towards Tyner, use caution on those roads. Fort Oglethorpe area, definitely, that area didn't get as much rain, but use caution because you are getting heavy rain now and the possibility of some small hail. The storm will make its way towards I-75 around the Summit area. Down here, we still have possibility of some pretty decent hail between Cooper Heights and Pond Spring down to Davis Crossroads, making its way towards the Rock Spring, Georgia area. All right, we are still watching this tornado warning down here around Lafayette, Georgia. I've got a question that says, what size hail? Isaiah, if you could send me a message on here, in the comments, and let me know what area you are in, then I could definitely tell you what size hail they're possibly seeing in that area. Is any of this heading to Chattanooga? No, this is all south of Chattanooga, heading away from Chattanooga. We have in downtown Chattanooga, we have severe thunderstorm warning for a section of storm that has made its way past most of downtown Chattanooga. It is currently in the East Ridge area, and it is not displaying a threat larger than correction. The newest information has this storm progressing further west. It is now between I-75 and that's Ooltewah Ringgold Road. We have a storm with some gusty winds. Let's see here. I get a lot of. Okay, are we looking at a risk of tornado for Ringgold? No, I do not see any indications of rotation heading in the direction of Ringgold. I do not see a tornado risk for Ringgold down to Chickamauga. There is a tornado warning for a section of storm currently heading over Lafayette, Georgia. An area where I would say needs to take cover immediately would be anywhere along Lyle Jones Parkway in Lafayette, from East Reed Road down to Waterville, Georgia. If you are within this area, over towards Villanelle, use extreme caution. Get to somewhere safe. We are going to continue watching this storm. I'm still seeing, when you start to get these curved areas within this type of storm, especially, kind of this blend of colors here, you really want to keep an eye on that, because that is an indication of a storm that is capable of producing a tornado. And there may also be one as well. However, now that we are over a more populated area and it is still saying radar indicated, I think that we're seeing the case of it being capable, but is not currently. But we will always play on the safe side and act like there is one to make sure that everybody stays good and safe. Some hail in Fort Oglethorpe. It is raining very hard, and you might see some small hail in that area. All right, let's zoom back out and take a look. Up in the counties further north, up around Athens, Decatur, all of these areas north of Hamilton County and Bradley County, you do not have any incoming risk, and you should be good for the rest of the night, all the way over to the Tennessee-North Carolina line. Down a little bit further south, around it's coming into the Collegedale area down to the Tennessee-Georgia state line, including areas from Cleveland down to the Tennessee-Georgia state line. We do have a storm with some gusty winds. We're looking at wind gusts around 60 miles per hour and some good, really heavy rain. It's making its way towards Ooltewah-Ringgold Road as we speak. And I can hear the rain kind of picking up outside my house right now in Appleton. So the next radar scan, I anticipate this storm being located right here directly over Appleton. We're still watching this storm section in Ringgold. We likely have some stronger wind gusts around past Cherokee Valley Road, making its way over towards Stewart Road in Catoosa County. Right at that line. And down here at Lafayette, we are still seeing this characteristic. Again, I'll mark it. We should be getting an updated radar scan. So South Old Alabama Highway in Georgia, which is Highway 151, that makes its way down through, from Ringgold. I'm not talking about the Ringgold area. Highway 151, South Old Alabama Road, around Naomi, up to... I want to find a larger road. Colbert Hollow Road, right there off Highway 151. We are looking at that area as an area of severe risk, with a active tornado warning and a possible storm heading towards your direction. I'm in Rossville. We just have a thunderstorm warning. No, Rossville does not have any type of tornado warning. If you are anywhere north of Tunnel Hill or Chickamauga, you do not have any sort of tornado risk in your area. At the moment, I am seeing some stronger gusts around Highway 151, Mount Pisgah area, heading in the direction of Bandy Road. So that is a stronger gust. We have a little, gap right here in the storm. I'm going to keep an eye on that, make sure that doesn't develop into anything risky, but right now I think that's going to be fine. We have a big gap right in there, and so that's usually, not conducive to very, very severe storms. Should be getting a new radar scan in here any moment, and so as that comes in, oh, there we go. Oh, no, maybe not. I'm waiting for the next radar scan to come in. I know we have people kind of bouncing in and out. Dalton, at the moment, you do not have anything over you, but I would say with the trajectory of this storm, here, let me do some calculating here. Still moving at 40, so let's... Nope, I hit the wrong one. All right, so I would say there's a possibility of a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself in my brain. I would say there's a distinct possibility that a tornado warning may be extended out towards the Dalton area. This storm could be impacting Dalton at around 6 p.m. I'm waiting to see if they update that tornado warning. It's possible. I'm going to keep an eye on this storm regardless. So it'll be rocky face around 5:55 p.m. Here, we'll bring this down in the center. So rocky face in 11 minutes, which will be 5:55 p.m. Same as Hassler Mill area. Dalton in 14 minutes. Pleasant Grove in 18 minutes. Keith's Mill in 22 minutes. And Donville in 23 minutes. So that is the active time for this threatening storm to make its way towards your area. If you are in the Tunnel Hill area, I do not see this making its way that far north. I do not think you are within any risk. I see a comment that says does not have any sound. Can somebody else comment, please, and let me know if they can hear me fine? Reba, you may have an issue with your, sound. You may need to turn it up. I will remind everybody that if things may work better, I am also streaming at the exact same time on YouTube under the exact same thing, Engle Weather Service. You can go there and watch. Anytime I'm streaming live on Facebook, I am also streaming on YouTube as well. Sometimes that works better for people, and people have commented that you can, they like the fact that you can pull this up, stream it to your TV. All right, so I've got some people saying that they can hear me really well, so that's good. I just wanted to make sure everything was working because, we do this as we can and work to make sure that everything is giving the best information, the full information, and everything's functioning correctly. Still seeing some stronger wind gusts over here just north of Tunnel Hill, right where it crosses I-75. Making its way towards Reed Road and then towards Cleveland Road, where you get these brighter greens. I do not think that that is any rotation. That's just some stronger gusts coming out of that storm section. And we do not have an updated tornado warning for this section of rotation and the storm. I'm going to continue to keep an eye on it because I'm still seeing some characteristics. It does not make me comfortable when I see this type of shape with this coloring within a squall line. That's usually a pretty good characteristic of a possibility of a tornado forming or being active. Get some questions about Chickamauga and some other areas, so let me pop back out. I know I've been covering the tornado warning pretty heavily, which has now expired. We do have a large spanning severe thunderstorm warning for the Georgia state line all the way down to Somerville, Lyerly area, and then also continuing down through Rome and Cave Springs. That's a separate warning, kind of the same general type of storm. Let's get the most recent radar information. Definitely, I would say, hold on, Keith Road area in Catoosa County, heading towards Stewart Road, you're probably going to see some pretty significant hail there. We see these storms kind of splitting just past Appleton, heading towards Highway 60 in Bradley County. I expect this little segment right here to weaken. It's currently over Park Store in Bradley County, moving towards southeast Dalton Pike, Highway 60. That storm should continue to weaken and kind of split itself away. So Polk County, you do have that severe thunderstorm warning extending to you, but I think those conditions will weaken. We do have some strengthening right here, some good size hail. This was more spread out when we were further west, and now it's kind of condensing, heading towards Villanelle, Georgia. Yeah, when you start seeing those purples, especially with the weather that we've had lately, that's usually a pretty good indication of hail, and some decent hail at that. So we are looking at, well, that's not working. So let's just use simple easy math. Around 6:15 p.m. Villanelle area will most likely be seeing some hail. We also have a pretty good indication of a hail core right here. Still making its way towards, it's most likely over to Stewart Road. Oh. Something just happened. I've got music playing. Okay, so we have a hail core located in this area. Motion is in this direction. It's most likely right here. So I would say the south side of Cohutta, Georgia, be prepared for hail, especially around Cleveland Road. I would say Cleveland Road between Wolf Street and Marla Drive. I think something's happening on YouTube. I'm still new on YouTube and I'm learning that area. Something's happening on there and it's causing music to play. So enjoy a nice little tune, I think, when people subscribe. I don't want to create distractions, so this will probably be the last stream that you'll hear that on. All right, so we've got some questions about Tryon, Georgia. Tryon, you've got a heavy little thunderstorm down here. You're within this severe thunderstorm warning. However, that main front of the line has passed you, and you are on the way to just some rain for the rest of the evening. Fort Oglethorpe, it's the same thing. The main line is past you, and you're going to see some rain for the rest of the evening. Once the rain stops, should be in pretty good shape. I'm going to watch this band back here at the back. I've got it here. We're going to cut this down to 7 frames. Alright, so we're going to keep an eye on this band. It's further back here around Centerville, Tennessee. This primary band is supposed to rob the atmosphere of a lot of its energy, so I don't think that's going to be anything to worry about, but we will continue to keep an eye on it just to make sure. Alright, so I'm going to stop the animation, go back to the dual pane. I'm still seeing some indications of a strong section of this thunderstorm heading towards Villanelle, Georgia. It's going to make its way to the south side of the city of Dalton. So we'll say around the Hurricane Mountain area over towards, looks like a restaurant, Ann's Place, between Brickyard Road and the South Dalton Bypass. And then even down here to Pratersville area. I am looking at, let me redraw that. I accidentally clicked. Looking at this section of storm here. Right now it's primarily producing a little bit of wind gust with some hail. I just want to make sure that it does not turn into anything. This is a section of storm which has previously produced a tornado warning. I do think it's just going to remain a strong thunderstorm. I don't think it's going to re-strengthen into a tornado warning area, but we're going to keep an eye on it anyways. Coming back up here to Tennessee, I know a lot of my followers are up here in Tennessee. For the entire area of Hamilton County, we are looking at primarily just rain now. No severe thunderstorms for any of the coverage area in Tennessee. This section of the storm, as I anticipated, has weakened as it's passing the Cleveland area, heading towards Ocoee. It will continue on to Polk County. You may see a momentary stronger gust, and with the heavy rain we got yesterday, those gusts are going to affect the trees. So, for a lot of these areas, I expect the possibility of, a couple of power outages from the trees. We got so much rain yesterday, the soil got so saturated that it's not going to take very much wind today to bring some trees down. I am continuing to watch this area of this storm making its way towards the south side of Dalton within the bypass. Still just a severe thunderstorm warning with gusts. Let me double check, make sure the gusts haven't increased. Yeah, gusts around 60 miles per hour with potential for some medium-sized hail. But I want to make sure that it's not going to do anything else, and that you'll be the first to know if this storm does continue to strengthen. The Campodahy and Menlo. Oh, Candace Thompson, I actually know Campodahy really well because I have volunteered there for years in the past. So let's go back to Menlo. Let's zoom in. They do not have any, severe threats coming in. And if you have people in that area, let's go back and take a look at what came over. Here, let's do this. Let's do it this way. So Menlo did not have any areas of rotation or anything to cause me to think that there was something stronger than, a momentary gust. Camping in Rome, Georgia, do you need to take cover? No. Rome, Georgia area is going to see some stronger storm come in here in the next 20 minutes. So we'd say probably around 5:15. Now, if you're camping, I don't know what camping you're doing. If you're tent camping, I would say maybe talk to somebody near you, see if you could go inside their camper for a while. Um, if you're tent camping and there's not a camper nearby, maybe get in the vehicle. If you are camping in a camper, I believe that you'll be completely fine. It is going to be gusty and stormy, um, but I don't think it's going to be anything that would cause harm or damage to a camper. Let me kind of readjust my seat here. This section coming in towards the south side of Dalton is continuing to remain, a stronger storm, but doesn't look like it's moving anywhere past that. We are seeing some, like I say, continued stronger wind gusts, 60 miles per hour. I'd say the way we have some areas bowing along here and kind of along here and along here, those kind of show me that it's likely we do have some gusts that are making their way above that 60 mile per hour mark. They're just not being detected or reported. So use caution on the roads. Use caution, around windows in your home. If you are on the east side of Dalton, if you're Eaton, Chatsworth, anywhere around, 411 highway, uh, take a moment to secure anything within your yard that you might think will be blown around. Because we will have some strong gusts coming through, and I do think they're probably making their way just above that 60 mile per hour mark, maybe as much as 70 miles per hour. Thunder and hard rain in Varnell. Just started pouring in Dalton. Thunder still rolling in Ringgold. Yeah, I can hear some thunder out here in Appleton area as well. We're seeing some, characteristics of this storm kind of. It looks like this area of the storm's kind of getting sheared off like this section was near the east end of Hamilton County. So, some weakening on this storm approaching the Cohutta Wilderness area, the Cohutta Wildlife Management area. Um, that storm seems like it's going to relax a little bit for you. Which will, following the trend, that'll continue to make its way down. And this section that I'm keeping an eye on around the south side of Dalton should be calming down. Currently, we do have some really heavy rain making its way towards Cleveland Road. It's probably over Cleveland Road as we speak, heading towards Cedar Valley, Townerville, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, River Road northeast. So this, we've got these darker reds. That's indication of some really heavy rain. Most likely some hail. Heading towards I-75 between Dalton and the bypass. So those, I would say this, what you would call the second and last exits of Dalton. Some hail heading in that direction. And let's see what our motion is. Give me just a second. I'm going to make sure dinner is good. I'm making a pork loin right now. All right. The pork loin's done, but I'm going to continue to be here with y'all until I feel like there is no significant danger or threat. And really, I'm just keeping my eye on this section on the south half of the Dalton area. Um, we are seeing some pretty strong gusts come off that section of storm. And that section of the squall line may still have some rotation up in the storm, not on the ground. So a lot of times this isn't a good indication of actual gusts occurring, but you can kind of use this relatively. So we got some history of some gusts around 50 miles per hour. And then project that. So I would say around I-75, from the second to third Dalton exit, you are probably seeing gusts push around 65, 70 miles per hour. I would say that's pretty likely. Do have a section right here. Give me just a second. Let me draw this out. Starting to see what could be some rotation heading towards the Dawnville area in Georgia. Just past Pleasant Grove, just past Cleveland Highway. I'm going to keep an eye on this little patch here. Here, let me look at a different map here. Oh, I can't see. I would say if you live in the Dawnville area of Georgia, I would go ahead and take cover. This is going to be right there near that edge of Catoosa County. I would say from Dawnville to Cohutta Springs down to Eaton, Georgia. Get somewhere in the direction of, a safe place and consider this an advance warning. There is not a tornado warning out on it, but I am seeing some indication of some pretty strong rotation within that section of storm. And I want to give you an early warning. It may not end up being anything, but I would rather give you that early heads up. And again, here, let me draw it out on the map. I'm looking at this section of storm here, and I would say anywhere within this purple area that I've drawn out on the right side of the screen, I would go ahead and get somewhere safe. And there may be a tornado warning coming. That may just be the way that this storm is shaped. We kind of got a strong inlet right here of winds. Okay, it's pushed its way past. Okay, so I'm going to kind of backtrack on that. I think we were just seeing that inlet of energy being sucked in right here, feeding the storm that was around Prater Mill area. So that area that I was talking about, Eaton, Georgia, Cohutta Springs, Dawnville, I kind of gave you a pre-heads up but you can relax. You do have a strong thunderstorm heading in your direction still with some possible gusts, but I believe that you can take a breath, and I don't think that there's going to be a tornado warning issued. I do want to say we have a real strong indication of winds around. I would say it's making its way towards Cedar Ridge Road and Dalton, north of the Keiths Mill area, heading towards the Conasauga River. So between Cedar Ridge and Keiths Mill, heading towards the river in Dalton, you have an indication of some really strong winds. And let me draw it out for you on the map here. We are looking at this coloring right here, heading in this direction. Kind of look and see. So we have, a possible gust reading right there of 76 miles per hour. So this is that area I said was most likely pushing some gusts above it. The severe thunderstorm warning still says, winds around 60 mile per hour gusts, but I think that we are making our way over that line. Along Tibbs Bridge Road between Cedar Ridge and Keiths Mill area in Dalton, heading in the direction of Chatsworth, Georgia. I do try to say the names of the areas that I'm seeing. The areas that see stuff moving in the direction of. So, for instance, I said these stronger winds right here, Marie, they are heading south of the Cedar Ridge area, north of the Keiths Mill area, probably closer to Cedar Ridge, heading in the direction of Chatsworth, Georgia. That includes Spring Place. What we can do here is we can draw this out. So Spring Place area in 9 minutes, which would be around 6:20 p.m. Chatsworth, Georgia in 13 minutes, which would be around 6:33 p.m. Eaton, Georgia in around 16 minutes. So that'll be, around 6:30. That'll be closer to 6:30 for Eaton, Georgia. And again, I'm seeing, a stronger storm with potential for very strong gusts. I would say that there's most likely some wind damage around the Walnut Square Mall. Around Highway 41 area, Maddox Mill Road southeast. Those are the primary areas that I'm looking at. You're welcome, Marie. I try to give good information. And I know that I move the screen around a lot, and I know sometimes they, I do it quickly and you can't see. I'm trying to cover a lot of areas. So I do try and hit on names of areas, and I'll also name street names as well too. I try to have the most zoomed in information I can. I do have a question around. Okay, so Amy, those storms aren't anywhere near the Atlanta area. They should still have no issue or see any of these storms heading home. Still seeing this band of storms. That section around the Cohutta area, at the Tennessee-Georgia state line, has kind of made its way separate, and it's going to continue to weaken. like I thought, and we look like we have the next section kind of breaking its way off around Donville. It's going to push itself up a little bit further north towards Cohutta Springs. And, this storm's kind of breaking off on the north side of it piece by piece. I do have good news. It looks like the very strong gusts that I was seeing around the central South Dalton area have kind of weakened. We're still probably seeing those gusts peak up around 60, 65 miles per hour, but they have relaxed from those momentary, very strong gusts. I'm also seeing much less possibility of rotation along this band of storms. So I'm going to remain on here. Have family in the Center Post area that lost internet connection with last night's storm. Do I know if anything touched down in that area last night? To my knowledge, last night we did not have any tornadoes occur. What we had yesterday was just a lot of, honestly, we had a lot of hail yesterday. That was the biggest threat. We did have some gusty winds. We had a lot of trees come down along with the very heavy rains we had. But there's no indication that there was a tornado that occurred anywhere. We have a flood advisory out for the south section of Hamilton County, an area that saw between 4.5 to 5.5 inches of rain yesterday. I expected this to come. We have an inch today with possible another half inch of rain coming in. That doesn't sound like much, but for an area that saw, maybe as much as 6 inches of rain in some very small sections, it doesn't take much once that soil's that saturated. So if you are on the southern half of Hamilton County, so areas like Signal Mountain, Red Bank, Hickson, Harrison around Wakanda Point, Wakanda Bay, Ottawa, Georgetown area, I would say, if you're in those areas, Ottawa, Collegedale, Appleton, downtown Chattanooga, of course, Brainerd, East Brainerd, anywhere within this kind of green section, definitely potential for flooding on roads again. And we're also going to keep an eye on those creeks and tributaries swelling up. They can do a decent bit of flooding after the rain we had yesterday. All right, so we do have very heavy rain occurring from the area just north of Dalton. I would say it's most likely around 411 Highway, Eaton area by now, all the way down to Plainsville, Georgia, Adairsville area. This very bright red section shows that there is very strong rain going on. You even have some of these darker reds, which show even more. I'm not really seeing any curious areas of rotation, winds or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the single pane. That'll give you a little bit area to view better, a little bit larger what I'm looking at. Is Dalton clear now? Yeah, well, not completely clear. You still have some pretty strong rain on the south end of Dalton. As far as the winds go, yes, the winds are clear of the Dalton area. But, if you're along this eastern section, this southern section, there's still some pretty heavy rain occurring. And it's going to continue to rain, but the threats of wind and possible, rotation and tornadoes, that's completely gone from you, Dalton. All right, so we do see this little storm segment making its way towards the Berry College area, Rome, Georgia. And we're still seeing that same. It seems like they generally just throw on a 60 mile per hour gust severe thunderstorm threat. It's kind of, you know, it almost seems like they're not indicating the stronger gusts. I know there's a lot of storms going on, but I have seen some indications of winds stronger. And this is why we have such a need for storm spotters, people actually on the ground looking at the storm, measuring the characteristics to be able to give the National Weather Service that defined data so they can issue the correct thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings for the correct areas. Let's see. Sorry, Josh, I meant is center post okay? Oh, okay. Center post right now here. You know, I'm not exactly. Yes. Let me go back and see how center point looks, or how they looked earlier, or center post. I apologize. So I'm not getting an update on that. So here, let's. There we go. All right. Center post, yeah, I don't see any scary, confusing, worrisome areas of rotation or anything like that. They probably had, strong gust for a second, but I do not see anything, that would make me think that they were in large danger earlier. I apologize if you hear, kids in the background. I do have an 8-year-old and a 2-year-old, and they constantly make noise. I've tried to, get better audio equipment to be able to kind of filter that out, but sometimes they're just so loud they make it through the best defenses that we have. So hope it doesn't make it hard to concentrate. I'm still seeing people pop up and ask about Harrison and Ringgold and other areas. Anywhere in the state of Tennessee that I cover, the only risk is this south half of Hamilton County due to rain that has already happened and some more that is coming in. We do not have any risk of tornadoes or strong winds or anything like that. We do have a little small band making its way behind this one later tonight. I'll continue to take a look at that and I'll update on that here in a while, and what I think is going to happen. For North Georgia, we're looking at, if you are anywhere to the west of Highway 411, or we'll say from like the Conasauga, Tennessee area down to Dalton, Crystal Springs, all of these areas west of this. Let me make it a different color so it's easier to see. All of these areas west of this line, you do not have any active storm threat, and you're safe for the moment, and you do not have anything to worry about. It is going to continue to rain for a while, and I'm going to continue to watch this little storm segment back here, which I don't think is going to be very strong, but we'll make sure. if you are to the east of this red colored section right here. So, Highway 411 south of Chatsworth, in the direction of Ellijay, Fairmount, Georgia, Ranger, Adairsville, you do have some stronger storms heading your way. They do have the possibility of a wind gust becoming very strong for a moment. And there's also potential for some embedded hail within these storms. Just to double check here, I'm still not seeing any indication of rotation, but we are seeing displays of these stronger gusts. Around Holly, Georgia, and then this Highway 225 through Georgia, as well as Chatsworth. Anything north of Eaton, Georgia, these storms are moving away from you, and you might have a rumble of thunder, but you're safe. Anything northeast of Eaton, you're probably going to get some stronger rain and a rumble of thunder making its way towards you. I do not see that section of the storm strengthening and causing any issue. I actually think there's potential for this severe thunderstorm warning for the area around Rome. That storm's really weakened a lot. I do not think it's going to be updated towards Cartersville or U Harley or Kingston or Adairsville. I'm going to take a second and grab a sip of water. While we have a moment, I don't see anything very impending. Okay, I'm back. Got me a big cup of water here. And we're going to continue watching. Looks like the south end of this storm is also kind of weakening as well. It's losing, the stronger air being able to sustain this storm. Still a section from Chatsworth down to Calhoun with some very heavy rain and those gusts. We're seeing those gusts expand from around the Ramhurst area down to Audubon, Georgia. I see somebody saying they heard tornado sirens in Dalton. I did not see any indication or tornado warning. It's likely they sounded those sirens because there was a moment of possible rotation heading in that area, and that section weakened as it approached. So, a lot of areas like Dalton, they'll give you a little bit of a warning, when they have those sirens to utilize. Sometimes if you see something that's possible coming in, it's best to sound a siren like that to give people a little bit of a heads up, make them get to a safe place with plenty of time, so that way if something does pop up that's dangerous, they're ready. All right, we're going to go back to the single pane here. And keep an eye on this little section. Let's zoom back out just to kind of look in some other areas. We're getting below my coverage area down here in Georgia, but we do have some stronger sections. If you know anybody that lives in the Cedartown area down to Tallapoosa, Georgia. I got a stronger thunderstorm heading in, but nothing too dangerous. And we can kind of breathe as things are starting to calm down a little bit. We've had a pretty good section of storms 2 days in a row. I know a lot of the storm flooding from yesterday around Hamilton County was due to not being ready for rain occurring how it did. I'll say Hamilton County is usually really good about getting in and clearing out stormwater drains when there's a chance of a lot of rain coming in, but it kind of caught everybody by surprise. I'm going to rewind the radar here. Let's go to the 22nd. 22nd. Then we're going to go to then 22nd to let's give a second for that to load. If it will load. What I wanted to do is show Oh, maybe it's not going to work. All right, sometimes this just doesn't want to work right. Okay, well, I wanted to show a little bit of that for the moment, but it doesn't look like it's going to work correctly. I'll make a separate post at a later time, but I wanted to kind of show you why we got the flooding that we did in Hamilton County yesterday. So when the storms make their way out of the area, I may make a post about that tomorrow, or just to kind of help educate on what happened and why it happened. So we still see continued weakening around the south end of this stronger severe thunderstorm. It's going to continue weakening, it looks like. So, area of Ranger, Georgia, moving towards Ellijay and Jasper, Georgia. You've still got a stronger thunderstorm with some very heavy rain making its way towards your area with the possibility of some hail. I do think this storm's going to continue to condense down where it's mainly going to be hitting just Ellijay over here in Gilmer County. So we'll continue to watch. Probably got a little bit of hail occurring around Ball Ground. Heading towards Bloodtown area. And as soon as we kind of cross this line right here past Murray County and Gordon County, I'm going to go ahead and end the live because the storms will be outside of the normal area that I cover, and also I believe they'll be weakened to the point where they won't really need to be covered that much too. Oh, hold on. I saw something interesting. Power pole broke on Shirley Pond Road. Power lines in road. Our power is out. Stay safe. As of now, stay off Shirley Pond Road. So it's interesting. The reason why that kind of caught my eye, Ella, about Shirley Pond Road is that's the area of Harrison that I grew up in. I grew up just off Shirley Pond Road. So that definitely perked my ears, or should I say eyes up, when I saw your comment. All right, everyone. Well, again, if you're just joining in, we have one little section of storm that we're watching just past Chatsworth, Georgia, making its way towards Ellijay. And it continues to get smaller from the south end, as well as some of the north end becoming separated and becoming just kind of rainstorms. We do have some stronger gusts of wind making their way from the Murray County area towards the Gilmer County line. This is showing gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour, but I would say they're probably reaching in areas around 60, 65 miles per hour. And I would say in time, this severe thunderstorm warning down here for these counties in Georgia will become smaller as it's updated and will eventually disappear. All right, so now that we're watching that last little bit, I'm going to come back up here and look at this section of storms around Columbia, Tennessee, Mount Pleasant, Lawrenceburg, Franklin. Let's see. Now that we're within a couple of hours, let's see what it's planning on doing here. That's what I thought. That's going to kind of weaken and dissipate. We've had a decent amount of convective storms. Ooh. Okay, I see what it is. It got changed to vertically integrated liquid. All right, so for those of you still around, I know a lot of people have jumped off of here. But for those of you in the Tennessee area that are still around, I've been keeping an eye on this band back here, and I do see that likely weakening and kind of tearing apart as it makes its way closer to the counties that I cover. I'll watch it just to make sure, but I don't see that being a continued threat into the evening. Now, saying that, and if some of you are newer, I will say that, I don't just cover storms. I mainly look at, severe thunderstorms, and I'll throw in some, coverage of holidays and events and things like that. This section of storms back here may roll through and, have a little bit of thunder, lightning, some rain with it, but you won't hear from me unless if it's something severe. And that kind of goes across the board. If you don't hear anything from me, then I don't see a severe threat coming. And the active threat isn't severe. We're getting close to the Gilmer County line here. The storm continues to get smaller. Still seeing those stronger gusts right here in that corner, that county corner between Murray County and Gordon County, and making its way into Gilmer County now. And it looks like we probably have an updated severe thunderstorm warning, which we do. Severe thunderstorms were located at a line extending near Fort Mountain State Park to Sonoraville, moving east at 30 miles per hour. It includes possibility of 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So this storm is becoming smaller, less active, and kind of losing its strength. It's also slowing down too. It was moving pretty steady at 40 miles per hour, and it's dropped speed down to 30 miles per hour, which means it doesn't have as much force driving it as well. As things relatively move too, a slower moving storm means slower winds coming out at the front of it. Well, at this point, this front of this storm has kind of made its way out of my coverage area. I'm going to go ahead and get off of here and eat my cold dinner. uh, it's no big deal. I'm always glad that I can come here and give you good, reliable information on severe thunderstorms, what's going on, where, and give everybody some good warning or some insight into what's coming at a later time. Thank you for joining in. I hope you have a wonderful night. Enjoy Sunday without any severe storm threat. Hopefully, you'll get some weekend time in tomorrow and get some relaxation in before the work week starts up. Have a good night, everybody.